new report reveals which U.S. military bases put service members at highest risk for sexual assault from within. It's been decades since the infamous Tailhook scandal, in which the first whistleblower took public her story of military sexual misconduct. Joce Sterman reports.
My first priority, and I think most victims are, is, oh my God, this can't happen to another person.
Paula Coughlin was one of the first to ring the bell of the Me Too movement long before it was called that. In 1991, she attended the Tailhook Symposium at the Las Vegas Hilton, a large-scale gathering for naval aviators. It became a partying mob, targeting women who walked a stretch of third-floor hallway known as the Gauntlet.
What happened to me was criminal, and that it had to be stopped.
This lieutenant and helicopter pilot became one of the first to fight back.
There was an organized sport going on. People grabbed my arms and legs and my clothing and eventually knocking me to the floor and trying to take my clothes off. I really have to say I fought like a wildcat to get out of there.
The next morning, Coughlin told her boss, an admiral, what happened.
And he said, that's what you get. That's what you get for going down a hallway full of drunk aviators.
An investigation found 83 women and 7 men were assaulted at the conference. 117 Navy officers were implicated of wrongdoing.
Could something like this happen again in today's Navy?
Something like Tailhook's not going to happen again.
Do you think that there is, in this culture, in this day and age, the scenario where Tailhook could happen again?
Yes.
According to the latest numbers from the Pentagon, reports of sexual assault in the military jumped nearly 10% in 2017. More than 5,200 service members reported being assaulted during their time in the military. That despite a litany of promises to put a stop to it.
It's creating a culture of zero tolerance. I think that's important.
Bottom line is, I have no tolerance for this.
Zero tolerance.
They've used a lot of bumper sticker kind of responses, zero tolerance, things like that haven't really moved the ball forward of solving the issues.
Retired Air Force Colonel Don Christensen is president of Protect Our Defenders, a group focused on combating sexual violence in the military. He says the problem is highlighted in a new report from the independent RAND Corporation. Released in September, it used complex math to evaluate risk, base by base, branch by branch.
The Navy and the Marines are a much higher sexual assault rate than what the Air Force has. There are 8 installations in the DoD where there are over 500 sexual assaults every year. Fort Hood had almost 900 sexual assaults in a year. If you have a better chance of being raped than you had to be injured in combat, we know that number's too high.
The report, ordered by the Pentagon, studied trends based on a large-scale survey done in 2014. It found the highest risks were often on ships. The worst single report at the Naval Support Activity Base Charleston, where 17% of women were sexually assaulted in 2014.
The military, to this day, I believe, are still more concerned with not getting caught rather than not having it in their command.
The report suggests the way to approach the problem is to look at the worst first. One recommendation, if the Marine Corps worked to reduce sexual assaults of women at its top 10 worst installations, it could significantly reduce the risk across the entire Corps. The question is how. RAND's report had some familiar recommendations: more training, more awareness, and more studies.
Do you think those recommendations are enough, and what do you think about them?
Well, I think it's a good start. But what's not there is talking about accountability. Seeing an admiral or a general held off in handcuffs for committing these kind of offenses would send a strong message. And there have been many admirals and generals who fit that bill to be let off in handcuffs.
And they've skated.
They've skated.
A Pentagon spokesperson told us that the results of the RAND report are what they called a valuable first look, and then they said it adds to DoD's growing knowledge base and reflects the department's commitment to employing the full spectrum of proven solutions to combat sexual assault, sexual harassment, and other behaviors in conflict with good order and discipline. What do you think about that statement?
It's got all the right words, even in the right order. They are glad that they have a piece of paper that they can hold up and say, look, we're counting heads now. But it doesn't really indicate that they are committed to solving the problem.
So that's the question. Is something being done to address the problem?
Well, the report found that places that had high rates of sexual harassment then also had high rates of sexual assault. But as we've previously reported, the military has a unique definition for harassment for branch to branch. So the Pentagon says step one is to get a standard in place, hopefully by next year.
Still haven't done that.
Nope.
All right. Thanks, Joce.